I believe that's a very reasonable, 60 to 90 day price target from here. All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to go through a company called RIOT Blockchain, stock ticker RIOT. RIOT is a Bitcoin miner, and they just released their monthly mining and operations update for the month of February. So I wanted to go through that with everybody and talk about how they did, what impact I think it should have on their stock, and talk about some potential price points. We cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners quite a bit on this channel, so if that's content you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if you enjoy this video, please do us a favor and smash the like button. Feel free to drop a comment below with any thoughts. We have a link in the pinned comment below to our free Discord where we talk about all this stuff. And we're making a push for 500 people in the Discord, so we'd appreciate you joining the conversation. All right, let's get to RIOT. Okay, so here's RIOT's February update. You'll see this came out yesterday, March 3rd, after the market closed. So RIOT Blockchain announces February production and operations updates. Let's go through the numbers. RIOT produced 436 Bitcoin in February 2022. So I'm starting out by skipping down to just some of the highlights here. Production updates. In February 2022, RIOT produced 436 Bitcoin, an increase of approximately 189% as compared to February 2021 production of 179 Bitcoin. So for those of you familiar with the channel, I don't put a lot of stock in the year-over-year comparison. We know these miners are growing exponentially, so the year-over-year is not necessarily that meaningful. But what I do like to do is take a look at month-over-month. So I want to compare February to January. And when we do this, we're going to have to do this on a Bitcoin produced per day basis because February is the shortest month of the year, and it may not seem like a big difference, but it's 3 days shorter than January, and that's 10%. You'll see in January, RIOT produced 458 Bitcoin. So that was 458 Bitcoin in 31 days. So that's about 14.7 per day. Okay, so if we compare that to February, they mined 436. So that's actually a few less Bitcoin, but that's about 15.6 Bitcoin per day. So on a daily basis, they were mining more Bitcoin in February than they did in January. So that was a step in the right direction. And I will tell you, February was a tough month for most people. The global hash rate and difficulty level was at an all-time high, and a lot of companies mined less per day in the month of February than they did in the month of January. RIOT actually did continue to advance. They've stayed pretty much right on target with what they talked about. RIOT's also part of a curtailment program as the weather gets cold in Texas. That did affect them in January. They don't really mention it in this February report, so I'm not sure how much or to what extent that may have reduced the amount of Bitcoin they mined. Obviously, we're coming out of the winter months, and for the rest of the year, that program would not kick into effect. So as of February 28th, 2022, RIOT held approximately 5,783 Bitcoin, all produced by the company's self-mining operation. That's a significant amount of Bitcoin. They are catching up. There's about 5 or 6 companies that have a HODL strategy, and they're all really starting to get a serious amount of Bitcoin. So 5,783 makes them very competitive in the HODL situation. RIOT currently has a deployed fleet of approximately 38,310 miners with a hash rate capacity of 3.9 exahash per second. Last month, they had a capacity of 3.4 exahash. Now, as we read the rest of this report last month, if you go back and check our video, we anticipated that this 3.4 was probably going to turn into 4 exahash by the end of February. So as it turns out, it's actually 3.9, so I'm not going to hold that against them. That basically means they are on track, and later we'll talk about where they hope to get to in March and April. So they have been marching ahead pretty much on schedule. Okay, mining development and shipment updates. Since its last monthly update, RIOT received 5,454 new S19j Pros, deployed approximately 5,800 S19j Pros in its immersion cooling building, along with 8,559 additional miners staged for deployment. So these staged for deployment, these 8,559 miners, those are not up and running yet, but now we know they have them in their possession, and those are likely to get deployed over the month of March. Additionally, 3,404 SJ19 Pros have been shipped from Bitmain and are expected to be received during March. So the way this has been working out is if that stays on track, and they have been the last few months, they'll get those in March and deploy them in April. Once the staged miners and those from the March deliveries are deployed, the company expects to have a total of 50,273 miners deployed with a hash rate capacity of approximately 5.0 exahash. So that to me is their April 30th goal, this 5.0. I'm going to estimate that by March 31st, they're going to be somewhere around 4.5 or 4.6 exahash. So that would be continued substantial growth. They're adding about a half an exahash per month right now. And obviously this makes them multiples and multiples bigger than they were, a year ago or even 6 months ago. They have orders in to get themselves up to 12.8 exahash by December 31st. So based on what they're doing right now, they stand a very good chance of staying on track and getting to 12.8 exahash by the end of the year. Riot's immersion-cooled Bitcoin mining progress includes Building F, the first erected immersion-cooled dedicated building, now with over 10,000 S19j Pros deployed. So they're working on building the second building past that. They're at about 50% completion there, and they hope to have that done and up and running by April. When they're done with all their immersion facilities, they're looking for a full capacity of approximately 23,040 Bitcoin miners. So they're just getting going with this immersion. This is supposed to allow these machines to overperform even past their specifications, as well as there's less wear and tear on the machines as they perform. So lastly, they say 2022 estimated hash rate. So like we already talked about, by January 2023, Riot anticipates a total self-mined hash rate capacity of 12.8 exahash per second. So it looks like they're tracking for that. They were saying December, I think now they're moving into January. So basically still on track. They go on to say approximately 97% of Riot's self-mining fleet will consist of the latest generation S19 series miner models. So they're going to be at 12.8 exahash, 97% of which will be basically the latest and greatest. Now, they're always coming out with something new, so by then there will likely be another version of the machine. But these machines should have years of productivity. Okay, I want to look at something else with Riot. Riot right now is trading at $15.28. They're down about 4.3% on the day today. Bitcoin's having a little bit of a tough day, so all of the miners are down somewhere in this neighborhood. But what I really want to look at is their market cap of $1.78 billion. And I like to compare market cap because people get very confused with dilution when more stock is issued. And the bottom line is, instead of just comparing the price, the number of outstanding shares impacts that. When you compare the market cap, it takes all that out of the equation and you're comparing apples to apples. So right now, they have a market cap of $1.78 billion. If I go to this chart, you'll see that a year ago, last April, they had a market cap of almost $5.3 billion. Okay, so if we take this and dismiss this information maybe as a little bit of a bubble or a period where things were overbought, I'm going to go here. This was November, so this was just 3 months ago. They had a market cap of $4.25 billion. They are now at $1.78 billion. I will tell you, in those 3 months, they've more than doubled their exahash rate, so they're mining more than double what they were 3 months ago. The price of Bitcoin has come down, but that will fluctuate over time. So this company has grown substantially, and yet their market cap and stock price continues to take a hit. I want to go look at the chart for a minute and show you what I'm talking about. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on where I think this stock may be going. And please remember, this is not financial advice. You guys can review these charts just the same way I can. So please do your due diligence. Okay, so if I look at Riot, this is the Riot chart on the 1 day time frame. So each one of these candles represents 1 day. So this is today. You can see they're down a little bit, fairly flat. Yesterday was a very big down day for all the miners. So again, this was not Riot specific. I have a purple line here at around $12.93, call it $13. So this line represents their 52-week low, and their business has changed so drastically over the last 12 months that comparing to any data prior to that is actually of no relevance at all. This is a very strong line of support here. I do not expect to get back to this. This was on January 24th. At that time, Bitcoin had dipped all the way back down to $33,000. We're at about $41,000 right now. So I suppose, if we go back and retest Bitcoin's lows, it's possible we could retest this, but that's, to me, from a risk-reward standpoint, that is the reasonable risk that you're looking at. So that would be about 17% to get down to what I would consider their most recent floor. However, I'm going to look at this the other way. This white line right here goes all the way back to July of 2020, and you'll see I have noted here, this is when Bitcoin was trading at 29,000. So Bitcoin was trading at 29,000, which is substantially less than it's trading right now. Riot's exahash was substantially less, maybe 20% of what it is today, yet the stock was much higher at that point. So to me, this is a very oversold stock. I'm going to go to another point here. This is September 29th. This was the end of the bear run, and you can see September was a tough month, and it bottomed out at around Bitcoin $40,000. So we're right back there. We're a little bit above that right now, but we're basically in the same range. And this line of support held through that. It really held all the way until mid-December, until mid to late December, when we started to cascade down to these new lows. So this is the track that most Bitcoin miners took, so it's not unusual. However, I think Riot is a little bit more oversold than the average Bitcoin miner, in my opinion. So just to get back to what I would consider Riot's long-term line of support, that would be a 60% increase in the price of Riot stock. I believe that's a very reasonable, 60 to 90 day price target from here. Again, this is not financial advice. I don't know that's going to happen. That is my strong opinion on this matter. So please do your own due diligence. The Bitcoin miners are very risky investments. So if we go to the price that Riot was trading at just before the flash crash, so again, that was back when Bitcoin was trading between $56,000 and $57,000. Riot was trading at $34 at that point. So that represents a 120% increase just to get back to the day before the flash crash. Now again, that is not back to when Bitcoin was at its all-time high, and this is nowhere near Riot's all-time high. This is just to get back to before the flash crash. So again, for my opinion, this is a very reasonable price target by the end of the year 2022. I think that Riot's update for February was positive. I think they seem to be headed very much in the right direction, and more importantly, their guidance seems to be very accurate. And for me, that's one of the most important things as an investor. So that's what I got for you on Riot. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.